Hi, I'm Sherry Strong, food philosopher, author, and illustrator of Return to Food, the Life-Changing Anti-Diet. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the illustration I did on page 25, which is all about oils ain't oils. And that really comes from an expression of an Australian television commercial where they were talking about motor oils and how not oils are created equally, and that certain oils are much better for high performance vehicles, and the best oils are usually the more refined. And it's interesting because it couldn't be more faults for the human body. So the more refined an oil is, it's great for a car engine, but terrible for the human body. And oils are these amazing, incredibly nourishing foods in nature, and when they're in their natural state, they're at their most powerful, as most things are, and they're where the body can actually readily absorb them. And in fact, pure, clean, uncooked fats are great fuel for your body to actually burn fat off the body. It's just so good for absolutely every function in the body. And nature actually makes this harder for us to obtain, so it makes us work hard for it so we don't overconsume oils and fats. It's not easy, and it's not the most readily available in nature, but it is available if we work hard for it. Today, we can get tons of oil. Literally, we don't even have to walk out the door to get it. We can actually get it delivered to our house. And the result is that we're getting usually too much oils. And here's the other thing, the most important thing, is we're getting oils that are highly processed and cooked. So in the book, I actually go through a process of learning, of showing you how the typical oils, particularly the ones in the clear white bottles that we probably grew up with and have been in the house forever. And they're also the ones that when I go in and do kitchen audits and lifestyle makeovers, most people not only have large bottles of these, but they're so old that they've actually oxidized. And for a highly processed oil to oxidize and go off, it takes a long time. And it's really super unhealthy to actually be consuming, even in its fresh, so-called fresh state. It's not so good, but once it goes rancid, it's even worse for the body. So just to give you an idea, some of the process that actually oils go through is the cooking stage, solvent, where they cook it to 250 degrees, 240 degrees, and then the solvent extraction stage where they use heptane and hexane, which is like petrol, and then a degumming stage where they use water and phosphoric acid, highly corrosive substance, okay? Then the refining stage where they actually mix it with sodium hydroxide, which is the active ingredient in caustic soda, and Drano for actually burning through your drains. And then a bleaching stage where acid-treated activated clays are used, then a deodorizing stage where they'll actually use the high heats again, and then it goes through a final preservation stage where they use a whole host of synthetic antioxidants like butylated hydroxy and acenyl butylated hydroxytoluene, things basically you need a chemist degree to actually figure out. And then because the oils are so highly processed, and if you ever have had family who've actually made soap from oils, you know that when you over process and over refine an oil, it actually becomes foamy. And so that's what's actually happening to these oils, and so they have to add Defoamer to it. And all of this is really set up to increase the shelf life of an oil. And that creates profits for companies. And what it also does is it creates something that's more addictive in the human body because there's no nourishment in it. And we have a natural propensity to like fat. Nature set us up to love fat, so we would work hard to get it in nature. All makes sense in a natural environment, but once we start to process foods and we no longer have to work for our own food, we have a different relationship with it. And then when the nutrients are stripped out of it and it becomes more addictive in the body's saying, feed me more, I'm not getting what I need. And this is where we set up this cycle of addiction and toxicity within the body. So if you want to have oils in your diet, and I highly recommend it, fats and oils, you really want these from the best sources that are raw and natural. So they haven't actually been exposed to heat in the form of deodorization. So if you have a coconut oil that doesn't actually smell like coconuts, it's been deodorized, and it's done to accommodate the palate, usually the North American palate. And it's one of these things that what happens is when consumers complain about something, companies create products to solve that problem. But sometimes the complaint in solving that problem actually works against us as far as the benefit of nutrients in our body. So cold pressed oils you want to look for. You want organic oils, because once you spray a plant with chemicals, it's almost impossible to get those chemicals out of the fats in particular. Okay, so really important that it's organic, cold pressed, and you want it in its most natural state. So raw nuts and seeds are the best way to actually get these oils. Avocado, we know, is fabulous. The cold pressed oils, you want to make sure they're in dark containers that inhibit UV light from getting in. And it's really important, air and light oxidized oil, which makes it go off, toxic in the body, not so good for you. Really important to get smaller amounts rather than large amounts. That's going to take you a long time to use, because once air and light get to it and it's opened, it diminishes its shelf life. So you want to choose the smaller amounts that you're actually going to consume within about 3 months. The other factor is that there's a cost that happens when we buy something of good quality. And I remember when I was white labeling an olive oil in Australia, and I was doing a trade show with it, and a woman came up to me and she said, $20 for that 375 ml bottle of oil? That's ridiculous. She said, I'd buy it if it was $10. And I was like, I can't buy it for $10 and I can't make any money off of it, so that wouldn't make sense. And to me it was really clear about how we, and when I say we, I've actually been guilty of this way of thinking. We have a really unnatural relationship with food, and we have lost so much knowledge we don't even know what we're buying. We will spend hundreds of dollars on mobile phones. Everyone in the house has to have a cell phone. 20 years ago, who had a cell phone? If someone did, it was maybe like the person who had the, was basically the income winner. And now things that we feel are musts and necessaries, like brand name clothing, jewelry, hair products, skincare, all these things that we're starting to spend our money on. Alcohol, pharmaceutical drugs, recreation, literally, transportation. The average Canadian is spending about $10,000 a year on transportation if they're not using public transport. And the average Canadian's spending about $1,000 to $2,000 a year just on coffee, right? And so things that we can actually look at as not being totally essential to our living, we can start to, I'm not saying give it all up, but maybe just siphon off a little bit and then put it into your food budget. The other thing that I said to the woman at the trade fair is I said, $20 is not a lot if you're not used to paying for it, but it's just a flick of the switch in our thinking. I asked her if it was unreasonable to spend $20 on a bottle of wine. And she said no, and I could tell by the handbag that she had and the shoes she was wearing and the shoes her kids were wearing and the clothes they were wearing, that wouldn't be a big stretch for her. And I asked her, how long does that bottle of wine last once you open it? And I've asked this to many people. Some people said, lucky if it's 15 minutes, over a group of a table. So we don't think anything about spending $20 on a bottle of wine that goes within minutes. But an olive oil or a cold pressed oil that is nourishing, energizing, and protective to the body and can make a massive difference to our health and our ability to actually eliminate and eliminate toxins and burn off fats, excess fat on our body, we start to scrimp and save on, because we've been conditioned to pay very little in comparison. So it's cheap to actually buy these highly processed oils because they've increased the shelf life, and all those beautiful nutrients that they've taken out of it, they've been able to actually sell, value add, make money off of the beautiful nutrients that they're actually taking out of it. So if we just flick that switch in our head and start to think, could I possibly make these oils in nature? Absolutely not. The same thing with margarine, and I don't care even the kind of the healthiest, branded margarines or the vegan margarines. These are highly processed foods, and they aren't necessarily healthy for your body. So oils ain't all oils. Refined oils are great for your car. Unrefined, cold pressed organic oils are best for your body. You have an absolutely amazing body, and I hope you're going to choose the best quality fuel for it, particularly when it comes to oils. I'm Sherry Strong, and this is Return to Food, the book, The Life-Changing Anti-Diet. For more resources, tips, strategies, recipes, and tools to help you develop a healthier relationship with food, your body, and the planet, please go to returntofood.com.